Playing it safe feels smart. That's why so many people do it. They do what they're told. They avoid risks. They wait for the perfect time. They try not to fail. They try not to look stupid. And then they wonder why they're still broke. Because the truth is, playing it safe won't get you rich. Most of the time, it just makes you average. And average is exactly where most people stay for the rest of their lives. And that's the part nobody wants to say. Ever since you were a young child, you're taught that being safe is the smart option. Do well in school. Don't take too many risks. Don't try anything weird. Don't fail. Don't embarrass yourself. Just do the normal thing and somehow everything will work out. But when it comes to money, that advice simply doesn't work. Because money doesn't go to the people who play everything safe. It goes to the people who are willing to be uncomfortable. People who are willing to try things early. People who are willing to look stupid. To the people who are willing to fail a few times while everyone else is being careful. And I've seen this in my very own life. A lot of people talk about wanting money, but then they do nothing to actually get it. They say they want freedom, but they spend all their time doing what feels safe and familiar. They stay in the same habits, the same routine, the same excuses, the same comfort. And then they act surprised when nothing changes. For example, even something as simple as trying to make money online already scares people off. Not because it's impossible, but because they don't want the risk of failing. They don't want to make something that gets ignored. They don't want to start a YouTube channel and get 20 views per video. They don't want to try learning a skill and be bad at it. So instead, they choose the safer option. They consume instead of create. They watch instead of build. They wait instead of start. And that feels safe in the moment, but long-term that safety is really expensive. Because while they're protecting themselves from embarrassment, they're also protecting themselves from growth. That's what people miss. Playing it safe is not free. It costs you opportunities, it costs you confidence, it costs you experience, and eventually it costs you money. Because money usually comes from value, and value comes from skill. And skill usually comes from doing something badly for long enough that you eventually get good at it. But safe people hate that stage. They hate being beginners. They hate uncertainty. They hate the idea that something might not work immediately. So they avoid the whole process. And by avoiding it, they stay stuck exactly where they are. I've seen this in finance especially. A lot of people think they're being responsible, when in reality they're just being scared. There's a difference. Being reasonable is thinking carefully. Being scared is hiding behind excuses that sound smart. And people do this all the time. They say things like, I'll start when I know more. I'll start when I'm older. I'll start making money when I have more time. I'll start when I'm more ready. But most of the time, that just means never. Because the people who actually build something usually start before they feel ready. Not because they're fearless, but because they understand that waiting around and playing safe has a price too. And honestly, that's something a lot of young people don't understand yet. They think being young means you should wait. Wait before trying. Wait before making money. Wait before building anything. Wait before taking themselves seriously. But being young is exactly when taking risks makes the most sense. You have less to lose now than you probably ever will again. And that's what's crazy. When you're older, you might have bills, rent, a family, real pressure. But when you're younger, most of the risks are smaller. And still, people waste that stage being careful. And that makes no sense to me. If anything, this is the best time to try. The best time to fail. The best time to look stupid. The best time to figure something out, because failing now costs less. But most people are so scared of short-term embarrassment that they create long-term regret. And that regret is a lot heavier, because one day you look back and realize you weren't actually being smart. You were just hiding. Hiding behind being realistic. Hiding behind overthinking. Hiding behind not the right time. And all that did was keep you broke longer. Now, obviously, I'm not saying you should become reckless. This is not about gambling your money away or making brain-dead decisions and calling it ambition. That's not the point. The point is that if your whole life is built around avoiding risk, avoiding failure, and avoiding discomfort, then you will also avoid most of the things that could actually change your life. This includes money. Because making money usually starts with uncertainty. You try something. It doesn't work. You adjust. You learn. You improve. You keep going. That process is not safe, but it's real. And that's the reason so many people stay broke. Not because they're stupid, not because they lack potential, but because they spend years doing the safe thing and then wonder why their life still looks exactly the same. Safe choices protect your ego, but they usually don't build your future. And at some point, you have to decide what matters more. Looking smart right now or actually building something real. Because if you keep playing it safe forever, you might avoid failure for a while, but you'll also avoid progress. And in the long run, that costs way more.